She grew up learning how to disappear without actually leaving the room. Ever since she was a child, people noticed her older sister Lily first. Lily was the kind of girl who laughed loudly, spoke without fear, and walked into any space as if it already belonged to her. Relatives praised her confidence. Neighbors admired her beauty. Teachers remembered her name. Standing beside her, the younger sister often felt like a shadow that followed quietly, never fully seen. At family gatherings, Lily told stories and everyone listened. When the younger sister tried to speak, her voice felt small, as if it dissolved before reaching anyone's ears. She learned early that staying quiet hurt less than being ignored. So she smiled politely, helped in the kitchen, and watched life happen around her. Over time, she convinced herself that this was just who she was meant to be. The invisible one. As years passed, the gap between them grew wider. Lily chased attention and approval, while the younger sister chased peace. She built a small, private world where she felt safe. That was where Daniel entered her life. He did not arrive with noise or drama. He came softly, like a steady presence that did not demand anything from her. He listened when she spoke. He noticed the things others missed. For the first time, she felt seen without having to fight for it. Daniel never asked her to compete with her sister or to be louder than she was. He loved her calm nature, her kindness, and her honesty. With him, she did not feel like a shadow. She felt real. Their relationship grew slowly, carefully, like something precious they both wanted to protect. Because of that, she kept his life private. Not because she was hiding him, but because she wanted to shield what they had from judgment, especially from Lily. Lily always had opinions. Sharp ones. She judged people quickly and spoke without thinking about the damage her words could cause. The younger sister knew that if Lily knew too much about Daniel, she would find something to criticize. So she shared only what was necessary. She talked about love, not details. About happiness, not background. Daniel understood. He never pushed her to explain him to anyone. He trusted her instincts. When the wedding was planned, joy and fear arrived together. She dreamed of a simple day filled with warmth and love. She imagined walking down the aisle and seeing Daniel waiting for her, calm and reassuring. She wanted a day that felt like the life they were building together. But the thought of Lily being there twisted her stomach. Weddings brought out emotions, and with Lily, emotions often turned into weapons. In the weeks before the wedding, small memories resurfaced. Moments when Lily had laughed at her clothes, mocked her choices, or questioned her worth. None of it had been loud enough for others to notice, but every word had left a mark. She wondered if inviting Lily had been a mistake. Still, she hoped that maybe, just for one day, her sister would choose kindness. The night before the wedding, sleep refused to come. She lay awake thinking about the past and the future tangled together. She worried about standing in front of people who had always compared her to Lily. She worried about being judged, about being laughed at, about being made to feel small again. But then she thought of Daniel. How his hand felt in hers. How his voice grounded her when fear crept in. That thought gave her enough strength to breathe. On the morning of the wedding, she looked at her reflection and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked fragile but determined. Hopeful but nervous. She whispered to herself that this day was about love, not approval. Still, deep inside, there was an unease she could not shake. She knew Lily too well to fully relax. As she stepped into her dress, she made a quiet promise to herself. No matter what happened, she would not let anyone ruin the life she was choosing. She did not know then how much that promise would be tested. She did not know that the day meant to celebrate love would also uncover truths long hidden. All she knew was that the calm before the wedding felt heavy, like the air just before a storm. The morning unfolded slowly, as if time itself was unsure about moving forward. The house buzzed with quiet activity. Makeup brushes clicked open, fabric rustled, and soft voices floated through the rooms. Yet inside her chest, everything felt loud. Every heartbeat reminded her that this day was real and unavoidable. She tried to focus on small things. The warmth of the sunlight through the window. The gentle touch of her friend fixing her hair. The faint smell of flowers placed carefully around the room. These details were meant to calm her, but her thoughts kept drifting back to one person. Lily. When Lily arrived, the air changed. She did not say anything cruel at first. Instead, she smiled in a way that felt empty. Her eyes scanned the room, judging silently. She looked at the decorations, the dress, the people, as if measuring everything against her own standards. The younger sister felt her shoulders tense the moment their eyes met. Lily offered a quick compliment about the dress, but it sounded rehearsed, almost forced. There was no warmth behind it. She asked questions that felt harmless on the surface, yet carried sharp edges underneath. Questions about the venue, the guest list, and especially about Daniel. Each time his name came up, Lily's lips curved slightly, as if she already had an opinion ready. The younger sister answered carefully. She kept her voice calm, her words simple. She reminded herself not to react, not to give Lily the satisfaction of seeing her nervous. But inside, her thoughts raced. She wondered what Lily was thinking. She wondered if the day would pass quietly or if something was waiting to break the fragile peace. When it was time to leave for the ceremony, her hands shook. She held her bouquet tightly, using it as an anchor. Outside, guests were arriving, laughter filled the air, and music played softly. It all looked perfect. Yet she felt like she was walking toward something unknown, something heavy. Daniel stood at the altar when she arrived. The moment she saw him, a small part of her fear eased. He looked at her with steady eyes, full of love and patience. It reminded her why she was here. Why she had chosen this life. His calm presence felt like a shield, even though he did not know what was building beneath the surface. The ceremony itself was gentle and sincere. Vows were exchanged, hands were held, and tears were shed. For a brief moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. She almost forgot about Lily. Almost forgot about everything else. That moment felt pure, like a breath of air after being underwater. But the peace did not last. At the reception, Lily became more visible. She moved through the crowd with confidence, greeting guests, laughing loudly, drawing attention to herself. She spoke as if she were hosting the event, not attending it. The younger sister noticed how people turned to listen when Lily spoke, just like they always had. The familiar feeling of being pushed into the background returned. During dinner, Lily made small comments that sounded like jokes. Remarks about the simplicity of the wedding. About how unexpected the match seemed. Each comment earned a few uncomfortable laughs. No one directly challenged her. The younger sister felt heat rise to her face, but she stayed silent. She did not want to cause a scene. Not today. Daniel noticed the shift in her mood. He leaned closer, quietly asking if she was okay. She nodded, even though her chest felt tight. She did not want to burden him. She believed she could endure it, just like she always had. As the evening went on, the comments grew sharper. Lily's words began to carry more weight, less humor. Her tone changed, and so did the atmosphere. Guests started to exchange glances. The younger sister sensed something coming, like thunder rumbling in the distance. She tried to remind herself that the night would end soon. That tomorrow they would leave, start their life together, and this day would become just a memory. But deep down, she knew Lily had not finished. There was something unsettled in her sister's eyes. Something that suggested this was not just careless talk. As she stood near Daniel, smiling for photos, she felt exposed. Not because of the cameras, but because of the quiet tension building around her. Her happiness felt fragile, like glass that could shatter with one careless move. She did not know yet that the real test of the day was still ahead. All she knew was that the joy she had hoped for was slowly being replaced by dread. The celebration continued around her, but inside, she braced herself. Something was about to happen, and once it did, nothing would remain the same. The moment came quietly at first, almost unnoticed. The music softened as people finished eating. Guests stood in small groups, talking and laughing. The younger sister tried to relax, telling herself she had survived the hardest part. The ceremony was over. The vows were done. Nothing could truly hurt her now. Or so she thought. Lily lifted her glass. The sound of it tapping drew attention across the room. Conversations slowed, then stopped. Smiles turned toward her, expecting a light-hearted toast. Lily stood straight, confident, enjoying the sudden silence. This was her space. It always had been. She began with a laugh, making a few playful comments that earned polite smiles. Then her tone shifted. It was subtle, but the younger sister felt it immediately. Her chest tightened. She knew that sound. It was the sound Lily made right before saying something that cut deep. Lily spoke about family, about growing up together, about how different they were. She smiled as she described herself as strong and ambitious, then turned her gaze toward her sister. Her words softened, but the meaning did not. She talked about how some people were lucky, how they stumbled into things they did not fully understand. She hinted that not everyone deserved what they had. A few guests shifted uncomfortably. The younger sister felt heat rush to her face. Her hands trembled as she held Daniel's arm. She hoped Lily would stop. She silently begged her to stop. But Lily continued. She questioned the marriage openly. She wondered aloud if it would last. She joked about how surprising it was that someone like her sister had found a husband at all. The words were wrapped in laughter, but they landed like stones. A hush fell over the room. No one laughed this time. The younger sister felt as if the floor beneath her feet had disappeared. Every old memory came rushing back. Every time Lily had made her feel small. Every moment she had swallowed her pain to keep the peace. Standing there in her wedding dress, she felt exposed, humiliated, and powerless. Lily's eyes shone with satisfaction. She had the attention. She had control. She went further, calling her sister naive, weak, and unprepared for marriage. She implied that Daniel had settled. That this wedding was a mistake waiting to happen. The younger sister could barely breathe. Her ears rang. She looked around the room, hoping someone would say something, anything. But most people looked away. Some stared at the floor. Others watched in silence, unsure what to do. The loneliness crushed her. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had cried too many times in private because of Lily. She would not give her that victory now. Still, the pain was unbearable. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, and it was being torn apart in front of everyone she cared about. Daniel felt her shaking. He tightened his grip on her hand, grounding her. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He had listened to every word. He had seen the way her shoulders curled inward, the way her confidence drained. Something shifted inside him. Lily ended her speech with a smile and raised her glass higher, as if expecting applause. The room remained silent. The sound of the glass lowering echoed loudly. The younger sister felt frozen in place, her heart pounding so hard it hurt. For a long moment, no one moved. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to run. She wanted the night to end. Shame wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She wondered if she had made a mistake believing this day could be different. Believing that love could protect her from old wounds. Then Daniel took a step forward. She felt it before she saw it. The warmth of his hand leaving hers. The shift of his body as he turned to face the room. Fear flickered through her. She did not want more attention. She did not want things to get worse. But it was too late to stop what was coming. Lily noticed him then. Her smile returned, confident and dismissive. She looked at him as if he were just another detail she could control. She did not know what he carried. She did not know what he was about to say. The room held its breath. The younger sister stood still, her heart racing, her world hanging on the edge of a moment she could not undo. She had endured humiliation, silence, and shame for years. She did not know yet that this was the moment everything would change. She only knew that the calm she had tried to protect was gone, replaced by a tension so thick it felt impossible to escape. And in that silence, before a single word was spoken, the truth waited. Daniel stepped forward slowly, not in anger, not in haste. The room was silent, and every eye followed him. He did not look at Lily right away. Instead, he looked at his wife. His gaze was steady, reassuring, as if he was reminding her that she was not alone anymore. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, almost gentle. That calmness made people listen. He said that a wedding was supposed to be a place of love and respect. That words spoken in such a space carried weight. He did not raise his tone, but each sentence felt firm, like it had been built on years of patience. The younger sister felt her breath slow as she listened. There was something protective in the way he spoke, something unshakable. Then he turned toward Lily. He did not call her cruel. He did not accuse her directly. Instead, he spoke about how confidence without kindness often turned into pride. How people who spoke the loudest were sometimes hiding the most. His words were not sharp, but they were clear. Lily's smile wavered for the first time that evening. Daniel talked about the woman he married. He spoke about her strength, about how she carried pain quietly and still chose compassion. He said she was not weak for being gentle, and she was not small for being kind. As he spoke, the younger sister felt tears roll down her cheeks. She did not try to stop them. For once, they were not tears of shame. The room felt different now. People were no longer uncomfortable. They were attentive. Daniel explained that he had chosen a quiet life on purpose. That he believed real worth did not need to be displayed or announced. He mentioned that he had responsibilities most people never saw. That he had led, protected, and sacrificed without asking for recognition. He did not share details, but he shared enough. Whispers spread through the guests. Lily's posture stiffened. Her confidence drained slowly, like color fading from a painting. She tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out hollow. The control she thought she had was slipping away. Daniel finally addressed the insult directly. He said that no one had the right to measure another person's value. That love was not a competition, and marriage was not a stage for cruelty. His voice remained calm, but his words carried authority. Then he revealed who he truly was. Not with arrogance. Not with pride. But with quiet truth. He spoke of his position, his work, and the respect he had earned over the years. The kind of respect that came from discipline and integrity, not noise. The room absorbed it slowly, like a realization settling deep. Silence followed. Lily's face went pale. Her eyes darted around the room as she realized the attention had turned against her. The laughter she expected never came. Instead, there were looks of disbelief. Judgment. Clarity. The younger sister felt Daniel's hand close around hers again. She looked up at him, seeing him in a new light. Not just as the man she loved, but as someone solid and unwavering. Someone who would stand between her and the world without hesitation. Her chest ached, but it was not pain this time. It was relief. She had spent her life being quiet, shrinking herself to survive. She had believed silence was her only protection. But standing there, beside her husband, she understood something had changed forever. She did not need to speak. The truth had already spoken for her. The silence that followed felt heavier than any insult. People shifted in their seats, no longer sure where to look. The energy in the room had changed completely. What was meant to be a celebration now felt like a moment of truth no one could ignore. Lily stood frozen, her glass still in her hand. The confidence she always wore so easily had vanished. Her eyes moved from face to face, searching for support, for laughter, for anything familiar. She found none. The room that once leaned toward her now leaned away. Someone near the back cleared their throat. Another guest whispered quietly to a companion. The judgment was not loud, but it was clear. For the first time in her life, Lily was not in control of the story. The younger sister felt weak and strong at the same time. Her legs trembled, but her heart felt lighter. She had spent so many years believing Lily's words defined her. Now those words felt empty, exposed for what they were. Cruelty dressed up as confidence. Lily finally tried to speak. She laughed softly, attempting to turn the moment into a joke. She said she was only being honest, only teasing, only looking out for her sister. But her voice lacked its usual certainty. Every excuse sounded thin, even to her own ears. No one laughed. A few guests avoided her gaze. Others watched her closely, seeing her clearly for the first time. The charm that once worked so easily had lost its power. Truth had a way of doing that. The younger sister noticed something then. Lily looked afraid. Not angry, not amused, but afraid. Afraid of being seen without the mask she had worn for so long. Afraid of being judged the way she had judged others. Daniel said nothing more. He did not need to. The truth he had shared hung in the air, solid and undeniable. His silence now spoke louder than any defense. Lily lowered her glass slowly. Her shoulders slumped. The attention she craved had turned into something she could not handle. She muttered something about needing air and stepped back from the center of the room. People made space for her without a word. As Lily walked away, the younger sister felt a strange mix of emotions. There was no triumph, no satisfaction in her chest. Only a quiet understanding. This moment was not about winning. It was about clarity. She realized she no longer needed Lily's approval. She never had. The weight she had carried since childhood slipped away, piece by piece. She felt taller, steadier, more present in her own life. A few guests approached her gently. They offered kind words, apologies for staying silent earlier. She nodded, accepting them without bitterness. What mattered most was not what had been said before, but what she felt now. Daniel stayed close, his presence steady. He did not ask how she felt. He did not need to. He simply held her hand, reminding her that she was safe. Lily did not return for a long time. When she finally did, she kept her distance. Her eyes no longer carried arrogance. They carried uncertainty. The younger sister met her gaze briefly, then looked away. Not out of fear, but out of peace. The night moved forward slowly. Music began again, softer this time. Laughter returned, cautious but real. The wedding was no longer perfect, but it was honest. And in that honesty, the younger sister found something she had never known before. Freedom. The rest of the evening passed in a quiet, almost gentle way. It was not the celebration she had imagined, but it was real. Guests spoke softly, choosing their words with care. Some smiled at her with warmth, others with understanding. She felt seen, not as a comparison or a shadow, but as herself. When the music played again, Daniel asked her to dance. His hand was warm and steady in hers. As they moved slowly across the floor, the noise of the room faded. She rested her head against his shoulder and finally allowed herself to breathe. The tension that had lived inside her for years loosened its grip. She thought about the little girl she used to be. The one who learned to stay quiet to survive. The one who believed being unnoticed was safer than being judged. She wished she could reach back through time and tell her that one day, she would be chosen. Not because she demanded attention, but because she deserved love. Lily remained distant for the rest of the night. There were no more sharp comments, no more forced laughter. The power she once held was gone. The younger sister did not feel the need to confront her. She understood now that some people only had power if they were given it. As the guests slowly began to leave, many stopped to offer hugs and kind words. Some apologized for not speaking up sooner. She accepted their gestures with grace. Holding on to anger felt unnecessary now. She had already moved beyond it. Later, when the room finally emptied and silence settled in, she and Daniel sat together, hand in hand. She leaned into him, exhausted but calm. She realized that her wedding day had given her more than a marriage. It had given her clarity. She understood that love did not need to be loud to be strong. That respect did not come from status or confidence, but from integrity and kindness. Daniel had shown her that simply by being who he was. As they prepared to leave, she glanced back at the space where everything had unfolded. The pain, the truth, the release. It no longer felt heavy. It felt like a chapter closing. She knew her relationship with Lily would never be the same. But for the first time, that did not scare her. Boundaries felt like peace, not loss. Walking forward beside her husband, she felt grounded. Her life was no longer shaped by comparison or fear. It was shaped by choice. And in choosing love, she finally chose herself.